Good day, good day. Welcome to another edition of Finish First Cycle Breaker program, where I am trying my absolute best to use all this information that I'm gathering as a judge, as an attorney, just years of practice to give you tools so that you can live your life on the next level. See, the interesting part about these types of programs is that it takes courage to even understand that you can raise the level of your activity. Most of us, we just think we know it all. We don't need to speak to anybody. We don't need to go back to anyone's school. And we definitely don't need coaches and mentors. Well, I'm here to tell you it is totally the opposite. If you want to be great in any area of your life, you need a coach. Whether it's athletics, music, TV, whatever it is, you need to tag along with somebody who's experienced the same things that you've experienced or have gathered the tools necessary for you to take it to the next level. That's why we do what we do here with the Cycle Breaker program. Tools and techniques to go to the next level. All right, what is a cycle breaker? We've talked about it before. First of all, you have to recognize the need to break a cycle. What in your life, in your family, in your community can get better? That's the bottom line. What can be better? What can get better? Because if you know that things can get better, then it's our obligation to make them better. It's not just about me and you. It's about what we're going to do for those who are coming up behind us, our legacy, our children, our community. So again, cycle breaker step number 1 is recognizing the need to break a cycle. Number 2, after you recognize what it is in your life or in someone's life or your family that needs to change, now you have to commit to doing it. It is so easy to walk away from commitment. So easy to say, you know what, I'll do that later. Or maybe that doesn't concern me, or I'm not gonna push in that direction. The only way to get positive change is for you to get active where you are, changing what you can. Maybe you cannot make rules that will change the entire laws of the United States because maybe you're not a part of Congress, right? But maybe you can run for city council in your state or your city. Or maybe you can run for the school board, or maybe you can just be a leader right in your home. So the bottom line is that once you recognize the need for change, we got to commit to changing. Number 3, you have to get the tools and resources so that you can break cycles. It is not enough to realize that you want to change some things. It's not enough to realize that you don't know everything about it, but what you going to do about it? Are you going to get tools and techniques to help you make that change? Are you going to go back to school? Are you going to get a certification? Maybe there's a book that you can read that can give you that additional information in the area that you want to go to. Or maybe, like I said before, you will find you a coach or a mentor, someone that can guide you along the way. Again, in order to be a cycle breaker, you need tools and techniques. I submit to you that even watching this short video is a way to sharpen your tools. So if nothing else, go watch all my videos here on YouTube and my other places where they're available so that you can get the information necessary to take those inches up to a higher level. Number 4, once you have recognized the need for change, you've made the commitment to change, you've gathered the tools, now it's time to hang in there when the going gets tough. That's grit. The 4th element is to establish that no quit attitude, never give up, that grit. Because as soon as you decide to break a cycle, as soon as you decide to go in a different direction, that's when the temptation will come. And I speak about it all the time, but it's so true. Most people get in trouble not because they want to get in trouble, but maybe they're in the wrong place. Maybe they're attached to the wrong people. Okay, let's not even talk about trouble. A lot of people don't achieve their goals or their highest level of success because they are connected to people who cannot help them get there. And those people keep tempting them to stay where they are. So if you're going to be a cycle breaker, number 4 is you have to be able to hang in there when the going gets tough, because that's when you're going to want to give up. But as cycle breakers, we don't give up. Let's go. Today, I want to talk to you about getting ruthless. Ruthless about trying something different. Now, if you're from the old school like me, you've heard that term ruthless. In fact, there was Ruthless Records, NWA, and all those things. And I know the young people can't relate. But that word is one of reckless, abandoned determination toward achieving a desired outcome. That's the cycle breaker definition. Now, of course, we know that when you talk about any definition, there can always be a positive side and a negative side. So I'm not talking about being ruthless in a negative way. What I'm talking about is being ruthless in a way that you have that grit that we talked about as cycle breakers, where you are not going to give up and you're not going to change your mind about being successful. Now, today's topic is about being ruthless in regard to trying something different. See, we all have a path that we've been on. If we're lucky, you've changed the path, you've reevaluated the path, and maybe even gone in a different direction. But that's not what happens with most people. Most of us remain on our path, whatever that path is, until it's almost too late. It's almost too late to change. I love to talk about the little fly that often is flying around. It's a story of a determined fly because he was ruthless about one thing, and that was gaining freedom. See, the fly was stuck inside of a hotel lobby, and you sit there and you watch the fly. The fly is at the window trying very hard to get out. And the question is, how hard and how long will that fly run against the window, bang his head, buzz furiously trying to get out? What I realize is that the fly will do it until the fly is dead. Isn't it amazing that sometimes we get so caught up on the path that we're on that we're willing to ride or die, literally? Think about the flies that you've seen in any area. They will go at the window because they know what their goal is. The goal is freedom. The goal is to get outside. That's the goal of the fly that's caught inside of an environment, right? But what they're doing is, by banging up against the window, they're going in the wrong direction or the wrong path. What they should have done was gotten ruthless about finding a different path, because that one wasn't working for them. Circle around the building, circle around the room, because oftentimes what they will realize, those little flies, is that just about a foot away is the doorway to freedom. About a foot away is their way to escape all the pain and suffering that the path that they were on has caused. But instead of making that adjustment, instead of being ruthless about change, the fly continued to move against the window until it was dead. I don't want you to be that fly. You may be on a path right now and you know if it's working or not. You know why? Because winning has all knowledge of your secrets. If you want to be a winner and you want to reach a goal, that path already knows what you're doing behind closed doors or on your spare time that's causing you not to win. You can fool me, you can fool your friends, you can even fool your spouse, but winning knows, because either you're going to make it there or not. So the same thing here. If you are on a path that you know deep down inside is not feeding you or taking you in the right direction, you got to leave that path. I don't want you to sit there and ruin your life, ruin your time, banging up against a wall that will never disappear when the answer to your success is just a few feet away. All right, so when we're talking about being ruthless in regard to doing something different, let's talk about two major categories that often comes up: being conventional and being reasonable. See, reasonable oftentimes seems to be the best path to go in. Think about it. I'm a judge. I've been a lawyer for many, many years. That term reasonable comes up all the time. Think about it. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Let's be reasonable about this situation. So you would tend to think that being reasonable is the way that you should go. But that's not true when it comes to achieving massive results. Massive results require that you step out of the realm of being reasonable, because what you want to accomplish is so important to you that you need to be unreasonable about failure. You need to say, you know what? I will not settle for any type of failure. I will not settle for half stepping my way through life anymore. Be unreasonable when it comes to your goals. You know what? No, I don't want to just finish school. I want to finish school with good grades. I don't want to just get a job. I want to get a job that I can expand and grow and thrive in. So the first step to being ruthless about doing something different is being unreasonable. Throw away the concept of being reasonable. Now, I have to say this. As a judge, I am not telling you to break the law at all or go against what you should do for your safety and your family. You have to do the first things first. I mean, we've been talking about that. You can go back and watch any video. First things come first. But I'm talking about when you're talking about moving to the next level, massive steps toward positivity and toward achieving your goals, that's where I want you to be unreasonable. The same thing applies to conventional. You know, conventional is a situation where, you know what, normally this is what happens. Normally this is what people do when they graduate. They just simply go and get a job and work a 9 to 5 and maybe get a retirement program and then, you know, sail off into the distance. But maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you don't want the conventional situation. Or let's talk about relationships. It has become conventional, or shall I say it was conventional back in the day, for you to settle for an abusive relationship. You know, people will hear things like this. You know what? That happens. You know, people argue, people fight. But no, that's the conventional way, because I'm going to submit to you that life is too short for you to fight. Now, arguing is one thing, but when you have to actually physically battle in the place that you call your castle, that's where things are not conventional. And that's where things should be unreasonable to you, that you don't accept it. So when we talk about these concepts where people are trying to pull you into normalcy, reject it, because I want you to get ruthless about achieving your high priority goals. What does it take to be ruthless about achieving your goals? You have to be abrupt about it. Cut it off. Cut that cancer off. That bad relationship, cut it off. That job that is just draining you every single day, you can't get motivated to be there, cut it off. I mean, I think you should make some plans before you do it, but if it's causing you that much pain and suffering, or is keeping you from achieving your goals that you have been working on, then you need to cut it off. See, if you're trying to be a cycle breaker, if you want to be ruthless about doing something different, you have to be willing to take those massive leaps of faith. And that sometimes means disconnecting from that safety valve, that safety net that you've had all this time, and going for your goals. Same thing about your behavior. If you've been doing the same things and they haven't been giving you good results, or you've been on probation or losing your license or getting evicted, make a massive change in the other direction. Pay your bills on time. Stop speeding down the street so that you don't get a ticket. Get your license valid so you're not driving under suspension. You can control your destiny, but it takes massive quantum leaps. But I know you can do it. Being ruthless about doing something different. Here's a couple of quotes to consider. The first one, if you've been pushing against the tide, how about deciding to go with the flow? That's one way to think about it. Because here's the key. When you want to achieve your goals and when you want to go to the next level, you have to decide, okay, I'm going to be ruthless, meaning I'm going to be dedicated and I'm going to be focused on achieving my goals. But once you start moving in that direction, you have to ask yourself, the things that I am doing, are they actually going to lead me in the direction that I want to go in? Or am I fighting against a tide that's just draining my energy, taking my time, and keeping me from achieving my goals in a timely manner? Because sometimes, if you push, you may break through, but what was the cost? What did you lose? How much time did you put into that? So instead of being rebellious at school, fighting the teacher on everything, rebellious at work, fighting your job, fighting your supervisor, rebellious at home against your parents or your spouse or your significant other or your brother or sister, instead of always fighting, how about you go with the flow? And why should you consider going with the flow? Because you want to be ruthless about achieving your goals, and that requires you to make the adjustments where you need to make adjustments so that you are no longer fighting a battle that will drain you. So consider, instead of going against the tide all the time, how about you just go with the flow and figure out how, as you're going with the flow, can you maneuver toward achieving your goals? But remember, I never want you to stay in that same path if it's not serving you. You just need to jump into another lane. Be careful as you move into another lane, but go where you are being served. The second quote to consider: if you've been trying to climb the wall, how about you go through the door? Or should I go back to my fly example? If you've been trying to bang through the window that won't break, simply go through the door. So again, this can tie into what I was talking about a little bit earlier. When you're ruthless about achieving your goals, you also have to be smart about the energy that you spend and the direction that you go in. Be smart. Take time to strategize your next move. Sit back, think about it. And if you can't figure it out yourself, remember, being a cycle breaker is all about using the right tools. Attach yourself to someone who can help you get to the next level. Somebody that you can trust and say, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about this and I want to do it this specific way. What are your thoughts? Now, as we move in that direction, there are two things to be aware of. First of all, be aware of those who are haters. We hear about it all the time, but it is so real. People will hate on you directly, trying to destroy your goals, trying to damage your self-esteem, or they may do it indirectly, where they give you sarcasm or try to act like they're joking when they say something that they know is going to hurt you. So you have to be on the lookout for those who are hating against you directly and indirectly. And one of the most important things to remember is that as you're on your journey, whether it's just to be a cycle breaker or if you're going to employ any of the tools that I've been speaking about over all these months of spending time with you, avoid the temptation to go back to what was normal. I talked about in one of our conversations about if you do the same, you're going to get more of the same. But it applies in any situation. The bottom line is that when you get uncomfortable, oftentimes we want to fall back to business as usual. And what does that mean? That means the comfortable relationship. Maybe it's comfort eating as opposed to working out. Maybe it's talking to the friends that you know are toxic, but you feel, hey, they get me, they understand me. So you go back to what was familiar. If you want to live a life that's taking you to the next level, avoid with every inch of your body the temptation to go backward. We don't have time to go backward. We have to go forward. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my cycle breaker talk for you today. Keep in mind that you can be ruthless about achieving your goals and taking your life to the next level. It's all a decision, and then it's all about executing. But keep in mind, the execution is not a problem. It's just remembering your why and making sure you understand that your life is important and that you're valuable. All right, I'll talk to you soon. It's Judge Dawson. Until I see you again, namaste.